Hello and welcome to the monthly Marquee. I'm your host, Bart Lovins, Director for the Hardin County Schools Performing Arts Center. Our first guest is Miss Carmen Caldera-Bratska with the Elizabethtown Performing Arts Center. Hello, and how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine. I am trying to make the best out of a bad situation, and I am enjoying a fall break.
Yes.
Which is, for me, not really a fall break. It's I now have 2 days to get things done instead of one fall break.
Right. Right.
And you?
Same.
Okay.
Same. It's fall break, but I am still working. Lots to kind of get done while the students are away and get planned for. So yeah. But I think the last 6 months we've all just kind of been figuring it out as we go, building the plane as we fly it, kind of thing. So we're adjusting.
Well, and speaking of adjustments, I know that you are in the process right now of making kind of a major pivot in what you're doing compared to before fall break.
Right, because we can't be doing performances like we are used to. So we are pivoting. We are seeing the best ways that we can go about helping the schools do what they need to do. Picture Day is always a big deal for schools because, parents love the pictures and the yearbooks have to be done. And so this year we sat down and went, wait a minute, we have a third of our students that aren't going to be here for Picture Day.
Sure.
So the EPAC is doing an online picture time for Morningside and TK Stone because they have their pictures at the EPAC during the school day. So that late afternoon, early evening, we are opening up for our online students
To come in and get
their picture made so that they still get Picture Day and they're included in the yearbook. And we're about 60% full on our slots. So parents should have that email from their school with the Sign Up Genius for them to sign up for their slots. But Picture Day for Morningside and TK Stone is October 20th and 21st. So they'll need to be signed in before then. And then it will be, we'll take temperatures at the door, only a few students at a time. No parents are allowed to come in. So contact tracing is minimal. And we will have school staff escorting the students to the stage for their picture and right back outside.
And what other things are you looking at as the fall goes on?
Right. We are working with Joanna Brunig as our Gifted Talented Coordinator for the district, and we are working on bringing in, through Zoom, a college-level dance course masterclass for our Gifted Talented dance students, because that's usually a group that is not served very often.
Right. It's not like we have dance teachers as part of our staffing.
Exactly. You can't put them in an honors dance class like you can put them in an honors visual art class or extra choir class. Yes. So this will be a very special event that we probably couldn't do if it wasn't for COVID, because we're going to be able to bring this small group of dancers on the stage and Zoom in professors to do a master class. So that's exciting. And our drama students, our drama gifted talented students, will be picking a major and doing that through Google Classroom and through Google Meets with me and with guest artists. So that's kind of an exciting thing that, again, we normally would not do. We would probably just do a couple of workshops with them throughout the year and maybe go see a show and have a discussion about the show. So we have to, we're pivoting.
Yes. Yeah.
In every possible way, we are just going to pivot and do everything we can to facilitate the learning that's going on and look for new ways to do that.
If people are interested in finding out a little bit more how you can help them either in the classroom or in the living room, as the case may be, what's the best way to reach out to you?
Probably Facebook is the easiest, because that's the one that kind of pings up on my computer so I don't miss it. And my email is really long and confusing. So Facebook is
and
the
there's
easiest
a Z in
way.
there somewhere.
There is a Z in there somewhere, depending on the day of the week. It tells you where the Z goes. But yes, Facebook is the easiest, Elizabethtown Performing Arts Center.
What did the holidays look like for the Performing Arts Center?
We can't do any kind of concerts. So the holidays are probably just going to look like a regular normal day.
Very good.
For us, I think.
And continuing to pivot to find out what spring looks like.
Yes, we are all just keeping our fingers crossed that spring means cramming everything from the entire year onto the stage in a few weeks' time. So we're holding our breath.
Busy, busy.
Yes. Holding our breath and wearing our mask.
There you go. There you go.
Yes.
Thank you, Carmen.
Thank you.
Our next guest is Miss Claire Allen, representing the Hardin County Playhouse. How are you doing? We haven't really had a chance to talk in quite a while.
I know. I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing great. I want to thank you guys over at Sign Makers for all the work you've done for us. You guys are at the Playhouse kind of in a wait and see and trying to figure out the path forward, whereas all of us at the Performing Arts Center are trying to forge that path forward, and that means a lot of signage, and you guys have been really, really patient and helpful in helping us get all of that together, and we really thank you for that.
Well, we're glad to help out. I think the sign looks great.
I was thinking about the fact, but you guys made this wonderful piece of art for us. Other than the second line, it looks pretty darn good.
Yeah, we've enjoyed. I mean, it slowed down, but then when we needed to get all the signage out, that kind of picked things up a little bit, because we've done several things for the school system with the COVID signs and social distancing and all that. So yeah, that kind of kept us busy for a little bit.
I know this is totally off track, but we've got a little time. What has the pandemic meant for you as a small business?
It kind of stopped things for a while. We did have so many things that were already in the pipeline. So when things really shut down, we still had some stuff to keep us going. But after we've gotten those big jobs, these are like banks and things like that, the big electronic message centers, things like that. Once those kind of ended, this last month has been it's slowed down a lot, especially for the guys who work outside. They're the ones who do all the cranes and the bucket truck things and, installing all the signs, and that has really slowed down. But I mean, we did have a really big account with Sicilian Bank, and that actually helped us. So, I mean, we had all that in the pipeline. But now that that's done, we're just kind of like, okay, what next?
Well, yeah, everything is hurry up and wait right now. Including theater.
Yeah.
I know you guys have been, we were talking, it's the, I think we should just call everything the kick the can down the road season.
Exactly.
You had plans for last spring.
Yep.
And they got kicked to this fall, and now they're kicked to the spring. Hopefully everything will work out and you'll be able to get back on the road with that kind of stuff. But what is HCP, Hardin County Playhouse, doing at the moment?
We are currently getting ready for the Ghost Walk. It is going to be October 30th and 31st downtown. We usually set up around Walker Square to buy the tickets. 7 o'clock start, usually runs till 10. It just depends on how many people, the demand for wanting to go through. Because of COVID, we're going to change some things. Usually we let bigger groups go through, somewhere 25, 30 people. This year we're going to keep it to 10. We're going to ask that the performers and the patrons all wear masks, and we're going to go out and draw circles on the ground, so kind of keep the distance from the performers.
So everyone has kind of their zone
to
stand in. Yeah. We've had to do something somewhat similar. We're in the process right now of staging It's a Wonderful Life as a radio play, and we've set up rugs.
Each person has their rug.
Each person has their rug. Stay in your zone. Stay on your rug, or an 8x8 platform that they stay on. And it's just so funny. I was talking to Brian Walker with Quixie this morning, and talking about the fact that they were who thought radio would be ahead of the times.
Right.
I mean, they've been bringing people together by keeping them apart for decades.
I know, right?
So you're working on the Ghost Walk, and one of the primary purposes for the Ghost Walk is to raise funds for Hardin County Playhouse.
Yes, it's usually one of our more moderate fundraisers, depending on, weather, that kind of thing. So hopefully the weather will work out, and we'll have lots of people who just kind of want to get out but still want to stay safe. But yeah, we still are trying to raise funds for a new building. I know things have really slowed down. COVID has basically shut everything down, including fundraising efforts. So, I mean, once things start opening back up, that's our plan, is to hop on that and try to start gaining some momentum with the fundraising. But this is just something small that we can, add to that. So,
well, and fundraising is very tricky right now. I know we have struggled with, we all need help, we all need assistance, but framing that message at a time when so many people need assistance is difficult.
It is. I mean, you kind of have to keep things in perspective right now.
Yeah.
You've realized that people, when they are donating money, they are donating it to COVID research or other things that have to do with the health industry, and that theater is just really on the back burner for a lot of people right now.
We are the first to close and the last to open in a situation like
absolutely.
this. And we will open, and we will be back up and running, but there are many things that have to happen before that can happen.
Oh, absolutely.
If people want to find out about the Ghost Walk, or they want to contribute to your efforts to build a home, how do they get a hold of you guys?
You can go to the website, hardincountyplayhouse.com. You can always message us on Facebook. There's 2 or 3 of us that can answer back at any time on Facebook. Also, they can look us up on PayPal if they want to donate. We do have a PayPal set up for Hardin County Playhouse.
I would never even have thought of that.
Yeah, but it was just something that was like, if people just wanted to donate and didn't want the hassle of putting a name with it or something like that, they could just, throw some money at it. So we've had a few people do that, so that's helped out a little bit.
Is there a price for the Ghost Walk?
It's $5.
$5? And pay there, pay online?
We're just taking cash.
Got it.
Yep.
Got it. All right. Claire, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
'Cause you got to love it, yeah. So, time. 'Cause we're moving on the groove. 'Cause you got to love it, yeah. So, time. 'Cause we're moving on the groove.
This month, instead of a Pack Kid Spotlight, I am interviewing Caitlin Kowalski as part of our Flip the Script series. Caitlin is a Level 10 studio company member in her 4th year dancing with Louisville Ballet. So what are you doing these days?
Right now, I am a Level 10 studio company member with Louisville Ballet. So we're slowly working our way back into regular rehearsal. So that's our focus for right now.
And what does Level 10 mean?
So the studio company is split into 4 levels, 7 through 10. So basically 10 is just the last level that you go through in the studio company.
And how many years have you been with Louisville Ballet?
This is my 4th year with Louisville
4
Ballet.
years.
Yeah.
Well, and for our, I'm kind of jumping around here and I apologize. For our dance students who might be watching this, how would you say your experience as a professional dancer differs from your experience as a student of dance?
I would say that, of course, there's so much more pressure when you're with a company than when you're with like your dance school. The atmosphere is a little bit different because you go from maybe being at the top of your school to the bottom of very, very bottom of the company. So you have these dancers who have been dancing with the company for 20 something years, and they have all this experience and knowledge that they're trying to pass on to you. And you just really have to just soak it all in and accept the fact that you're back at the bottom and just be open to that learning process. It's a very unique experience.
I think going to college is a little bit like that as well for those performing arts. We're top dog in high school. We've worked our way up the ranks, and not unlike becoming a freshman in high school, you forget what it is to start all over again.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is.
Well, when you were in our area as a student, who did you study with?
Allegra Dance Theater under Carol Zagar, and then I had Dale Brannon and Kathy Sawyer and Robert McFarland and Teresa Bautista, all those familiar names.
Great. And how do you think that prepared you for what you're doing now? What do you look back on now and go, oh, now I get it?
I would say from a very young age, they instill that professional quality in not even just performing, but class and how you carry yourself, even in rehearsals when you're just off to the side, excuse me, and you're not even necessarily participating at that moment, but just that professional quality that they expect you to have at all times. And I would say that that's something that I didn't really understand from a young age, but now that I have gotten to that more like professional level, it definitely makes sense. And I'm glad that that is something that I had experience with when I was younger, because now it's easier for me to just carry that along into all my work.
Becomes habit.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it becomes a habit.
And one of the things I always talk about with the performing arts is, there are students that we have that go on into the profession like you have, but we're also teaching life skills. And I think that's an important life skill, whatever you go into.
Yeah. Just to build on that, I know even in my outside jobs, not even just in the studio, it's been really great for me to kind of have that backbone of professionalism, time management, discipline. This is all stuff that dance has taught me, but I've been able to apply it to the rest of my life, and it's been so helpful.
And speaking of applying things, I know one of the things that you and I talked about just really briefly before the interview through our emails is that going back to work right now with the ballet is very different than it was this time last year.
Yes.
What does ballet look like under the restrictions and guidelines that we have?
That is a very good question. I know it's so hard to imagine us taking ballet and putting it into this like COVID bubble that we all have to go along with. But basically we don't touch at all. We all have squares for class that we stay in that are socially distanced. So we have taped squares on the floor. We wear our masks always, change our masks when they get wet because they're less effective when they're wet than when they're dry.
That's something I never even thought of.
Yeah. When you're getting sweaty for a whole hour and a half, you definitely have to change that mask out and get a fresh one. We give the studio time to air out in between classes and rehearsals. So we'll typically do an hour and a half block, and then the studio will air out from anywhere to 30 minutes to an hour. And then we come back so that the air can circulate a little bit, and we're not just sitting in the same stale COVID air the entire day. Yeah, so those are the main things I would say. We have a check-in when we first get to the studio to make sure that we are abiding by all of the regulations in our outside life to keep everyone safe inside the studio. Temperatures taken, all the pretty typical things I would say. Just kind of have to morph them a bit to make them ballet appropriate.
Well, the one thing that I think is in your favor in this field is the amount of discipline you already have to have as a ballet dancer.
Yes.
I can remember back in college, our ballet dance instructor sending a girl home because she hadn't tied the ribbons on her toe shoes correctly.
Oh, goodness.
So, I mean, there's that kind of, there is no gray area. This is how it's done.
Exactly.
And we kind of have to be that way right now with these,
Yes.
there is gray area, but when it comes to people's safety, we have to really toe the line.
For sure. Yeah.
One of the things you just mentioned, you said that there's no touching. How do you handle lifts and things like that?
For the time being, we actually, unfortunately, have not been doing that. Some choreography that we might have done in the past or worked on in the past that did have those aspects, we've had to just work around that and change choreography if we need to, or just say, well, maybe we'll save this for when times are hopefully better. So yeah, for right now, that just hasn't been part of our day-to-day choreography or anything like that.
Do you have a lot of what I think the term is a lot of rep pieces that you do year after year? Like
No.
Nutcracker. Nutcracker for us is a rep piece. Or
Yes.
Cinderella for Allegro, which is coming up later in November. Does Louisville Ballet have some rep pieces that they've had to rethink, re-choreograph?
We do, yes. Our lecture demonstration shows, which are what we take to local elementary schools, that's actually going to be recorded instead because we're not able to go to schools. And so we have had to rethink that a little bit just to manage when we would normally be talking to the kids in the audience, how are we going to talk to the camera?
Yeah.
We do have some props for that show that are handed from character to character, which we can no longer do. So we've had to rethink that. That's really the only returning rep besides like Nutcracker, of course, that we have had to really think through. I'd say typically rep does come back, but it's not every year. It's like every few years.
It's like on a cycle.
So, yeah.
Gotcha. Well, I just mentioned Cinderella. What was your experience with Cinderella when you were a student down here?
My experience. So my first Cinderella was 2008, and I was a bumblebee and one 5-minute scene at the very, very beginning of the ballet. And then my last Cinderella was 2016, and I was Cinderella.
Oh my God.
Yes. So I grew up with Cinderella, just working my way up year by year until I finally got to the top. So Cinderella really taught me how to take choreography from the previous year and build on it the next year. And I got to do that year after year after year. So just another aspect of discipline, I would say, just being able to take that choreography and build on it year after year. And of course, there's always the professionalism that I talked on earlier. Just being able to get into the theater and know exactly what to do and how to behave and how to act and be a role model for the younger girls who are a bumblebee, just like I was when I first started. Yeah, Cinderella was definitely a very big learning experience for me.
Well, and I mentioned earlier, not all of our students go on to be a professional performer. Some of them going to other fields, and that's a big decision. What was the turning point for you to go, all right, this is what I'm going to do?
Yeah, I was actually kind of on the fence about it for a while. When I was younger, I guess I didn't even realize that you could be a ballerina professionally. So I had my mind set on other things, and then I kind of started to realize that that was a possibility. But when I attended Governor School for the Arts in 2016, they kind of made me realize, like, oh my gosh, that's actually possible. Like, people actually do that for real. So I would say that was the turning point for me, realizing that I actually could do it and make a life out of it.
And that's Governor School for the Arts is just an incredible program. And they've had a really tough year right now, and I look forward to them bouncing back as well. Now, we talked about the fact that you are a professional dancer and you are earning a wage doing this, but like many professionals in the performing arts, we all at some point in time in our life have had to have side gigs.
Yes.
And you were at Target, yes?
Yes, I work at Target.
You talk about time management. How do you balance it? Are you full-time with the ballet, full-time at Target?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, it can get pretty insane, pretty tiring. That's where, like you said, the time management definitely comes into play. I have to make sure all my things for the day are laid out and ready. Whatever meals that I'm going to have are either something that's quick and easy that I can make between dance and work, or even after work sometimes, or a meal prep. So I'll have meals, for a few days in advance.
It's not wake up in the morning and figure out what I'm going to wear. That's all done before you lay your head down the night before.
Maybe not that, but but yeah, I do try and have my day pretty well planned out so that I don't run into any bumps the next day. Yeah.
How often do you get down here to see anything that Allegro is doing now?
Not as often as I would like, but I do try to come down. Yeah, at this time in my life, I'm pretty busy. Yeah, but I do still have a couple sisters. Well, one sister now at Allegro. So I try and get down and see them sometimes.
What's it like to watch Cinderella from the audience?
Oh, it's such a weird experience. I think the first time I saw it from the audience, it was definitely emotional because that's something that like you grow up with and then all of a sudden you just don't have it anymore. So it was definitely an emotional experience. There were times where I was like, oh, so that's what that looks like. Yeah, because when you're on stage, it's just a completely different point of view, of course, than when you're sitting in the audience. So there were some sections where I was like, huh, I've never realized that that's what that looked like. Yeah, emotional for sure.
Have you gotten to watch? You have two sisters,
Yes, two sisters in ballet. Mm-hmm.
and have either of them played Cinderella yet?
Yes, one of my sisters, Maggie, who was actually a Pat Kid Spotlight a couple years ago, she was Cinderella her senior year. So,
what was that like to watch your sister wearing your costume dancing your role?
It was like when she steals my clothes out of my closet. No, I'm just kidding. It was odd. It was like me on stage, but it wasn't me. It was my sister. I don't know. It was kind of like watching myself, but different. It's kind of hard to even explain. I was proud, of course, because we grew up dancing together, and then to get to see her do that her senior year of high school was just so exciting.
We thank Caitlin for her time and Louisville Ballet for allowing us to talk about their COVID preparations. Allegro Dance Theater is currently prepping their annual November production of Cinderella the Ballet at the PAC. Well, folks, that's going to wrap things up for a fall break edition of the monthly Marquee. As we scroll through the credits, we're going to share some footage from last year's production by Allegro Dance Theater of Cinderella the Ballet. You can catch them at the PAC this year, November 21st and 22nd. Till next month, I'm Bart at the PAC. Have a great month.